Hey guys, it's Alex here with TFP TV. The topic of today's video is going to be the top 5 Metal Wondernines. A Wondernine is a self-loading 9mm pistol with a double-column, high-capacity magazine relative to older designs. We're focusing on metal frame pistols in this video because we thought we might do a separate one for combat Tupperware. First up is the Browning HiPower. The HiPower is a pistol that is incredibly popular the world over and really contributed a lot to the Wondernine concept. It was practically the only game in town for decades, and for a pistol that was introduced in 1935, it was way ahead of its time. While pistols before the HiPower had a double-stack magazine, like the C96 broom handle if you really want to grasp at straws, and the Savage 1907 had a form of a detachable double-column single-feed mag, the HiPower staggered the rounds into 2 true columns and really turned some heads when it was brought to market. Having 13 to 15 rounds of 9mm on tap in a simple, reliable pistol led to numerous military contracts, including countries like Australia, Canada, England, and Belgium, all 4 of which are still using the pistol to this day, which is a true testament to how sound the design is. The HiPower is the brainchild of Browning and his protege, Dieudonné Salve, and many think of it as an improved 1911. However, the pistol isn't without its haters. The trigger isn't anything to write home about. The magazine disconnect is irritating. The hammer is prone to biting the hell out of your mitts. But these can all be remedied, of course, with some time and money. Today you can find surplus guns like the one here for about $400, and I had this one refinished to look nice and new, but current production guns from Browning are $800 and up, and seem to sit on store shelves for a while. It's as if Browning has not gotten the memo that there's now competition out there and is stuck back in the 50s when they kind of had the market monopolized. Nevertheless, I'm a big fan of the HiPower and I really enjoy shooting them. They are wonderful little guns and my generation certainly seems to overlook them based on the amount of "what's that" queries I receive at the range. Next up we have a crowd favorite and HiPower descendant, the CZ75. This example is actually a Cold War commemorative model and the serial number even starts with CCCP. Kind of a weird tribute, I thought, especially when most Czechs I've met vehemently hate communism, and look at that period of time with disdain. Anyways, more about the pistol. The CZ75 is often mistaken for a HiPower at a cursory glance, and it really does have a lot in common with it. The gun disassembles the same way, has the same barrel-to-slide locking serrations, and the same linkless style tilting barrel. The most important difference is the arrangement of the frame rails, external versus internal. This setup is similar to a SIG P210. My only real gripe about the CZ75 is how small the slide actually is. You have so little to grab onto when racking it that it is quite inconvenient, but other than that it's a really spectacular gun. The pistols are accurate, easy to shoot, and just flat out well made. Unlike the HiPower, they are capable of being fired in double and single action as well, or carried cocked and locked, depending on the user's preference. There really isn't much I have to say about the CZ75 other than that it's reliable as hell, well constructed, and you can absolutely depend on it. Its stable of fanboys has every right to champion these factors, and I think an SP01 variant is in my future. Damn if they don't look great and shoot well. Third, we have the SIG P226, a gun that many people believe to be the best metal 9mm handgun. I borrowed this gun from a friend, and to be honest, I personally would never buy a SIG pistol not made in either Switzerland or Germany. Ever since they started making guns in New Hampshire, or splitting slide and frame production on opposite sides of the Atlantic, SIG collectors insist that the quality has dropped. As a collector myself, I would much rather have a P22 series gun stamped made in West Germany, but that's just me. Regardless, the SIG P226s are truly excellently designed firearms that are priced high but function well. They did not innovate in any one specific area or bring much new to the table, but they combined elements of many pistols that simply worked, and the result was an extremely brilliant product that has been adopted by many militaries around the world in at least some capacity. The SIGs are a bit heavy and bulky, but this of course helps soak up the recoil. My biggest gripe about the design is the position of the slide release. On just about every other pistol I own, the slide release is located where the SIG's decocking lever is. When I shoot a P226, I find myself frustratingly hitting the decocking lever to bring the slide home until I remember that it's far back and in the most inconvenient place possible. However, I can overlook this because I do like the way they shoot, and I do like that they have a decocking lever in the first place, as opposed to the CZ75s, where the user is expected to pull the trigger and slowly lower the hammer themselves, which is incredibly unsafe in my opinion, although the CZ75 BDs do have the lever. So the SIG has a rightful place on the list, and damn if they don't just shoot great. Fourth, we have a pistol that seems to be very divisive, the Italian Beretta 92. This is a 92 FS model, and the 92 series is noteworthy as having been adopted by the United States Army as the M9. I've talked to numerous servicemen about the M9, and you get a mixed bag of folks who either love or hate the thing. I've heard everything from mine jammed every shot to the one I had worked flawlessly. Either way, I can say that I'm a fan. In the 1980s, the Beretta 92 was all the rage. You can see them in all the big movies of the era, including Die Hard, Lethal Weapon, and anything John Woo ever touched. The 92s are a mechanically interesting design with an unusual tilting locking wedge that is similar in form and function to the one found on the common Walther P38. The non-tilting nature of the barrel allows the 92 to be suppressed without a Nielsen device as well, so that's something to keep in mind for you suppressor folks. The 92 is big, but it fits my hands extremely well, and perhaps better than any other pistol. It is a full-size service pistol, so it wasn't exactly designed for IWB carry. The 5-inch barrel lends itself to extremely good accuracy. I can shoot a 92 shockingly well, and I've used this one in competition and for my CHL qualification, where, without tooting my own horn here, I shot the best group in the class. The 92 was one of my first self-loading pistols, and to this day it's still one of my favorites. I can still make it dance. It has 18-round magazines. It's double action, has a safety, a decocker, and it's just plain fun to take to the range. While the pistols certainly don't have a minimalist look to them, in fact it's kind of interesting to see all the odd bits moving about on the outside of the gun, they are very solid, and I'd highly recommend you try one if you have the chance. Lastly, we have the greatest semi-automatic handgun ever made, the H&K P7 M13. The P7 series of handguns are fascinating mechanically. They do not have a locked breech, but rather are gas-delayed blowback whereby a piston below the barrel actually serves to delay the opening of the action. This is a brilliant system because say you use more powerful ammo, well, more gas works against the piston to delay the opening of the action with appropriate resistance. For those of you who argue that external safeties are stupid and unnecessary, well, HK has you covered here. The P7 is without one, but is possessed of a wonderful system to ensure safe operation. The lever on the front of a P7 must be squeezed to draw the striker to the rear. At this point, the weapon is ready to fire. Pulling the cocking lever requires 15 pounds of force, but keeping it held down requires only 2 pounds, so as not to tire the user's hands if a prolonged ready state is required. The P7's lever has also saved the lives of many a good guy. In fact, there are documented incidents of criminals taking law enforcement officers' P7s and being unable to fire them due to being unfamiliar with the cocking mechanism, a mechanism which a trained user operates naturally and with ease while drawing. The P7s are ridiculously overbuilt as well. They had a cold hammer-forged, polygonally rifled barrel before it was cool, and they have fluted chambers like a G3 or MP5. The pistols point very naturally with a 110-degree grip angle, excellent bore axis, and a slide that is just the right size. The P7 M13 is the apex of the P7 series, having all the features of the original, but with the heel release eliminated, no tools required for disassembly, 13-round magazines, a heat shield under the dust cover, and absolutely unparalleled accuracy and reliability, making the P7 M13 the pinnacle of what a 9mm handgun can be. Well, now that I've triggered all the Glock, Springfield, M&P, Walther, FN, and Ruger fanboys with that, keep in mind that this list was about Metal Wondernines. I have no bias against plastic-framed guns, but I thought that would make for another good video. Really, it's up to the consumer to decide what you want and what works best for you. With that said, big thanks to our ammunition sponsor, Ventura Munitions. Our videos wouldn't be possible without them, so if you need some ammunition, even hard to find stuff, check them out. Also, hitting that subscribe button would really mean a lot to us, and we would sincerely appreciate it if you would do so. Thank you very much for watching, and we hope to see you next time.